Greetings and salutations, Redeemers, and welcome to Recipe Redemption. Well, today I'm doing it. I've been meaning to do a video about British snacks and comfort foods, and for one reason or another, just haven't gotten around to it. But felt like it today, and there's a lot to choose from. Uh, but some of the weirder ones take a little bit of thought, and at the same time, not. I thought about the very simplest one, the toast sandwich, which I have heard of, and I have conflicting reports about whether or not anyone actually eats this still. I know one person who said that he misses eating it in from his childhood. He no longer does. Another guy says that no one has ever done this. But historically, this has been done. There are actual printed recipes for it dating back to mid 19th century. 1861, I believe, Isabella Beeton's household management cookbook has a recipe for the toast sandwich. And what is it? It is a sandwich with two pieces of plain white bread, with a piece of toasted bread buttered in the middle. It says, if you wish, salt and pepper may be added. That's it. And I personally have no need to try that because I know what toast tastes like. So I know this is going to be bread with crunchy bread in the middle. Now, mind you, this was originally listed in Beeton's recipe. It was intended for invalids, so people who maybe can't digest anything more complex. So something simple, easy to eat while they're convalescing. So, okay. Which is there are a lot of really really bland recipes out there that were specifically for people who would probably throw up with anything stronger. So there's some really, really watery soups without any actual solids and that sort of thing. Those things existed. So I feel no need to actually try the toast sandwich. Same thing with the chip butty. That is buttered bread with British style chips, as in thick cut fried potatoes in the middle, usually served with something like a curry sauce or a gravy or something like that. These days, I have to pick my carbs fairly carefully. So I got a pretty good idea of how that'll taste too, and I have no real desire to try that today. Um, that just seems like a carb bomb that I don't need right now. So instead, I decided to spend my carb allowance on the quintessential British breakfast slash snack food, beans on toast. I've heard of this. I've seen it. I've seen a number of British people wax rhapsodic about it, and according to polls, um, over 60% of the British people who were polled said that they have at least the baked beans, if not beans on toast, at least twice a week. This is still a thing in Britain. And so, gotta try it. Now, there are some details that are worth noting. Um, it's gotta be Heinz beans with tomato sauce. So they are not American style baked beans in the way that we think of beans. That is more of a brown sugar base. They're way sweeter. They don't have quite as much of the tomato in them. So this, I mean, they take the tomato sauce and pinto beans, I believe these are, and they seal them in the can and heat them for a long time, and that actually cooks the beans in the can, um, and you know, develops the actual flavor of the sauce. So, got to use the British style beans. Now, the history of beans on toast is actually kind of interesting. They introduced Heinz introduced baked beans around, yeah, right around the 1880s, 1890s thereabouts. Um, Really, the production of mass-produced canned goods. They had introduced this style of canned beans to the British Isles, and they became so popular by the turn of the century. Heinz decided to actually open a factory there in, I think, the outskirts of London to produce these beans specifically for the British audience or British public. Um, Now, you would think that beans on toast would be something that somebody came up with around that time. But as it turns out, Heinz, in an effort to get people to buy more, um, now that the full English breakfast kind of included baked beans in them for whatever reason, because the beans have just been popular. In order to get people to buy more, Heinz actually created an advertising campaign that suggested this recipe of toasting some bread, spreading some butter on it, and then eating it with heated Heinz baked beans and tomato sauce on top of them in 1972. So the recipe isn't that old. You can barely consider it to be vintage. But for our purposes, we are going to consider it vintage. And it's become a classic thing in Britain. I still struggle to understand why, because it just seems not gross, but just weird. We in America just don't eat our beans this way. Beans belong in chili. Or if you're going to have baked beans, then you have the baked beans as a side dish um, next to your barbecue and your cornbread. Uh, if you're going to have three bean salad, that sort of thing. Um, this just isn't the way that we eat our beans, and so it just seems kind of odd. But we are doing it today. So, buttered toast, beans atop, down the hatch. If I can get my camera to actually balance. I don't know where the little mini tripod went. So, there we go. Beans on toast. Salud. Okay. Definitely not as sweet as American baked beans. So the tomatoiness comes through. There's a sweetness, but it's the natural sweetness of the tomato sauce and the beans as well. I mean, they have a certain amount of sugar to them, I guess. Um, eh. It's not horrible. It's not bad. It's just kind of meh. Um, I'm not going to wax nostalgic about this in the future. It's like, what I miss eating? Beans on toast. It's mildly sweet. I can actually taste the butter that I put on the toast, which it adds kind of a nice richness and, oddly enough, a little bit of sweetness too. It's noticeably starchy. Just the starchiness of the beans and the toast and everything. Um, from an outsider's perspective, this just doesn't seem that special to me. But I didn't grow up eating this. This isn't a nostalgia thing for me. Maybe if I grew up with it, it would really land better. But for the moment, I'm weirded out by the idea because it's beans on toast. Um, I would much rather just eat the bowl of beans and be done with it, which I'm going to because I made the thing. And I don't even want to discuss how much I paid for this can of beans because this is the British style. I had to special order it because they didn't have it in my local supermarket. So, not doing this again. If offered it, if I'm ever in Britain and I'm offered beans on toast, I know I can safely say sure. If that's what you're offering, if that's what there is to eat today, sure. It's a mostly complete protein. If you had like whole grain bread, then I think this would actually constitute a complete meal. It's a complete protein plus plenty of carbs. And I guess there's fiber too, but sure. But this would actually constitute a complete protein, so it's actually a small meal if you wanted to live that way. I do not, but if that's what was being offered to me, I would eat it. So, what do you think? Do you, anyone in the audience, all 50 of you, uh, do any of you actually eat beans on toast? What do you think about it? What are your feelings about it? Is it something that you have because you grew up with it and it's sort of a taste that you've come to love, or is there something that I'm missing? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you have any other ideas for stuff I should try, leave those in the comments as well. And I'll see you next time here on Recipe Redemption. Thanks for watching.